shall overcome my tears. It's not in vain. I know it gets hard sometimes, but yeah, we shall overcome.
Watching across the world. Listen, we appreciate you. Those of you that are with us on Facebook Live, those with us on RainbowPush.org, those that are with us on WVON, and those that are watching on Impact Network. Can we make some noise for those that are with us today? Our very own Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson is with us. So text somebody and tweet somebody, let them know that the push is on as we push for change, push for freedom, push for one another. Let me hear you make some noise, push.
Oh, we shall. One more time, sing, we shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I believe that we shall overcome someday.
One more time, put your hands together for none other than Maurice Mahan and our Rainbow Push voices today. We have a lot of ground to cover in such a short amount of time to do it. So give us a call wherever you are across the world. 773-256-2775 is the number. Those that are with us all across the world, we're grateful. We have friends with us today that are watching us in Europe, South Africa. Can we make some noise for our satellite cities, Atlanta, Washington, D.C., where we have a great conference coming up, and those that are with us in Los Angeles and Silicon Valley. We are grateful that another Saturday morning, our founder, our leader is with us, Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson. He's going to come with us today, later on in the broadcast. I want everybody, those of you that are watching especially, to put Rainbow Push on your holiday list. Do not wait until the end of the Christmas season before you give. Make it a priority today. So those that are with us, I want you all to text JLJ77, that's JLJ77 to hashtag 41444. That's one more time, JLJ77 # 41444. That's # 41444. Or give us a call or go online at rainbowpush.org and support Rainbow Push today. Aren't you glad that we are still here? We're on the verge of next month. It's anniversary month, you all. And so we want you to come back where it all started. I want you all to look at your screens, those of you that are watching and those of you that are with us, for our video announcements on this Saturday.
My name is Felicia Neal. I am the National Director of Membership Services for the Rainbow Push Coalition. I am so excited to know that we have members around the world. Please, why don't you join us?
Join the movement, join Push. Do you have your pen?
We are here to serve. Thanksgiving Day dinner will be served on Thanksgiving Day from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Rainbow Push Headquarters, 930 East 50th Street. Please call us right now to register your family or your group to join Reverend Jackson and a host of celebrities for dinner provided by Gibson's Restaurant. Register today. Rainbow Push Coalition lands in D.C. We are disrupting the arc, discussing emerging technologies, civil rights, and civil liberties during the 11th Annual Media and Telecommunications Symposium in Washington, D.C., December 4th and 5th. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Make sure you register at Rainbow Push Headquarters in person to receive a Christmas food basket. You must have and show your voter registration card and driver's license or state ID to apply for a food basket. You can register Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Saturdays from 8:30 a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. Spread the word. They want to see your face. Monday, November 19th, 2018. Join Keep Hope Alive executive producer, journalist, and co-host Santita Jackson at Pearl's Place at 6:30 p.m. Let's talk. She has something to say. Meet, greet, and eat. Journey with us. We are returning home to South Africa in celebration of freedom and the end of apartheid. Register now to travel with Miss Jacqueline Jackson to South Africa, April 24th, 2019 through May 4th, 2019. We are convening the family. Push Anniversary Month, exciting dates, community, family, and fun. December 1st, Robins Day, Chicago Theological Seminary. December 8th, Reunion Saturday, Food Basket Giveaway. December 15th, International Day, Oratorical Competition, Food Basket. December 22nd, Founders Day, Push Trade Bureau, Food Basket. December 29th, Millennial College Student Summit.
Month, and we're celebrating the great work of none other than Reverend Jackson and so many that has come through the doors here. Today we have with us Anderson University. What a great university that has joined us today here live at the Saturday Forum. We're dedicating this broadcast to the life and legacy of none other than Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson was the founder of the Black Star Project, and we're going to celebrate his life here at Rainbow Push this Tuesday at 11 a.m. So those of you that are around the country, join us this Tuesday at 11 a.m. as we celebrate the life of Phil Jackson, founder of the Black Star Project. Today we're lifting up the family of Ramsey Lewis III, who will be laid to rest today from 10 o'clock to 12 noon at J.W. James AME Church in Maywood, Illinois. Services for Malaza Steen, the granddaughter of Push founder Jerlene Lambert and daughter of our cameraman Calvin Steen, are today at Springfield Baptist Church. And later on in our broadcast, we want justice for Jamel Robinson, you all. We want justice. Our national spokesman is here today to shine light on what we can do, but we're praying for that family. For those that do not know that are watching us across the world, this man was a hero, a security guard that stopped a mass shooting, and he was killed in the process of saving another life by a trigger-happy police officer. And so again, we're going to hear from Jonathan Jackson later on today. We dedicate this broadcast to Fred Garrett, the founder of Watkins, Garrett, and Woods Mortuary in Greensville, South Carolina, and we're praying for healing for Al Evans, outstanding, beloved, committed member here at Black Men Pushing. And last but not least, we are praying for Reverend Dr. Leon Finney, speedy recovery for that great man who's done so much work across Chicago. At this time, we're going to have another video celebrating our week in review.
Welcome to the #SMF Weekly Update. Prayers for the families of the victims of the California fires, for those who have lost their homes, and for the brave firefighters and medical emergency professionals who selflessly serve. Reverend Jackson was invited to speak at Princeton University, posing the question, is it dusk moving toward midnight or dawn moving toward noontime?
That's enough. Pardon me, ma'am. Excuse me, that's enough. Mr. President, I want to
CNN sues President Trump and top White House aides for barring Jim Acosta, and support for journalists April D. Ryan, Yamiche Alcindor, and Abby Phillips spreads across America. Welcome new members of the 116th Congress arrived in Washington, D.C. this Tuesday with a large group of diverse freshmen. Congratulations, Kristen Sinema, on winning the Arizona Senate race. She becomes the first Democrat Arizona has elected to the Senate since 1988. Did she say that? Mississippi Senator under fire for public hanging comment.
Those comments that we heard that were published yesterday are very disappointing. They're hurtful and they're harmful. They're hurtful to the millions of Mississippians who are people of goodwill, and they're harmful because they tend to reinforce the stereotypes that have held back our state for so long and that have cost us jobs and have harmed our economy. I mean, this is 2018.
4138B.
The state of Florida is to hold a machine recount of the votes for both the Senate seat and the race for governor. The move, which is a legal requirement, was ordered by officials after the results in both polls fell within a margin of 0.5%. Accusations of fraud and lawsuits have emerged over the Florida contests in recent days.
Andrew Gillum, born to serve.
We begin to get reports here in the Student Government Association from just different students about either not having their voter registration card, going to their precinct that they voted at before, and now being told that they weren't on the roster, that their names have been purged.
8 million ballots was ordered Saturday in 3 dead heat statewide races, including the race for governor between Republican Ron DeSantis and Democrat Andrew Gillum.
I'm not here to make a closing argument for what it means to become the next governor of the great state of Florida. I'm simply here to say that for the votes that have been cast, they ought to be counted.
Never a dull moment in Georgia. Georgia State Senator Nikema Williams was arrested for standing up for the right to vote, protesting peacefully.
Never did I imagine that my day would end up with me being in jail. I spent 5 hours, a little over 5 hours in the Fulton County Jail because I, as a senator, did not leave the state capitol when Capitol Police told me to leave during special session. As a sitting member of the legislature, I did not leave the Capitol, and so I was taken out in handcuffs and jailed because I stood with my constituents to voice their concerns and make sure that every vote is counted.
It was the wildest Georgia governor's race in recent memory, right up until the very end when Stacey Abrams delivered her non-concession speech.
This is not a speech of concession, because concession means to acknowledge an action is right, true, or proper.
Abrams went on to accuse Brian Kemp of essentially stealing the race from her, using his former office of Secretary of State to tilt the election scales in his favor.
The former Secretary of State was deliberate and intentional in his actions. I know that 8 years of systemic disenfranchisement, disinvestment, and incompetence had its desired effect on the electoral process in Georgia.
A suspect allegedly opening fire, but when officers arrived, they fatally shot Jamel Robertson, who witnesses say was just doing his job.
Demands and rallying cries for justice for Jamel Robertson are being heard all across the nation as this hero, a church musician and security guard, successfully detained a gunman and was killed by police. We stand with the family of Jamel Robertson.
What a great week we had, and we got work to do. Listen, those that are watching us, give us a call, 773-256-2775. Let us know wherever you are. Take out your Rainbow Push membership today. Renew your membership today. And we're glad that we have with us none other than LXW and Rainbow Push. Turn up your radio and turn up your TV as they go forward.
Let's do it again. Hey.
time for LXW. Wherever you are watching us across the world, give us a call. The number is right there on your screen. We're grateful that none other than Bishop Tavis Grant is with us today, presiding bishop the Antioch Networks of Churches and Ministries. Come on, celebrate him. And we're excited today that our national spokesman is going to give us a perspective on a lot of things. But one thing that is just pushing our heart today is we want justice for Jamel. I want you all to turn up your radio, turn up your TV for none other than Jonathan Luther Jackson.
Thank you, Reverend Will Hall, and congratulations on your 5th anniversary in your pastoral ministry. Our hearts and prayers go out to the Jamel Roberson family as we see fires raging on the West Coast and snowstorms coming on the East Coast. Let us be mindful and prayerful for all of those in need. Our families need your prayers. I want to thank the Reverend A.R. Leak and Mrs. Leak for their services this past week. Last night we went over to see 2 persons to be interned. One of our neighbors, Brother Ramsey Lewis III, he has taken flight and has his wings. And the Lambert family. It just so happened that on this past week, on November 14th, I came to the realization after being here on last Saturday when I was approached to understand that one of our supporters and organizers here had his daughter slain in a murder-suicide on the Thursday before. And it was on this past Thursday, on the 14th, when I was asking a person that does some work for me in painting if they could do a job, and they said, no, I couldn't because they had to go to a funeral on this Friday to bury their son. Now, what's on my heart today as I think of Jamel Roberson is all of this trauma, all of this pain, the children that are left behind. Brothers and sisters, we have to teach our children some character and some value education. This murder has to stop. It was on this past Thursday, the 14th, that I realized I knew both fathers of both of the children that had been killed in a murder-suicide. The father of the daughter and the father of the son in a murder-suicide. When my father and I were at the A.R. Lake Funeral Home yesterday, the amount of people that came up to us and said, my nephew, my son, my grandson was murdered. I had a talk with the undertaker, Mr. Leak, yesterday. He said, Jonathan, 30 years ago, these were persons that were shot that were involved in some gang violence and activities. Today, what Mr. A.R. Leak is seeing is random shootings of persons that are getting killed. And I said, Mr. Leak, what is the solution? He says, we need some character and value education. We have to value our lives. Jamel Roberson, young man, a member of Reverend J. Derek Anderson's church, one of our long-serving members, an outstanding pastor. His former musician was working security in Robbins, Illinois, breaking up a fight. Think about that for a moment. Why do you have to break up a fight in a nightclub? Don't you go to a club to enjoy yourself? Now, as for me, if I go into a place to enjoy myself and they have too much security, I'm going the other way. When I went into Popeyes and saw this security glass and I'm on the other side, I said, no, I need the glass. If this restaurant is this dangerous, I'm not going in it. Brother Roberson went to work as a security guard and people are in there fighting in a club. He pulls out a gun to stop, and then we're going to ask for a complete investigation by the Illinois State Police and the authorities. We want to get to the bottom and seek justice for Jamel. Now, brothers and sisters, we have to stop all this gun carrying and gun toting. And I can't help but think about 30 years ago when my friend Billy, approaching Thanksgiving weekend, our class was shocked to hear that his stepfather, when we were in high school, killed our classmate over an argument about taking out the garbage. I mean, it's violence all around us. I spoke with my classmates, Brother Carrington Carter, in the Washington, D.C. area. the two young men that shot his son and killed him, that had been identified, the man that knew the murderers wouldn't testify against them. So let us get prepared for the holiday season of giving and sharing and caring. Let our words, our tone in our words, reflect our Christ-like nature. And if we can't get along, turn away. Let's not come and repeat this violence. I'm going to ask the Reverend Will Hall to come back, and we've got an outstanding oratorical speech that you're about to hear. And it was this year, this day, 1 year ago, that my father came forward with his announcement of Parkinson. And I want to say 365 days later, we thank God that he is strengthening and staying with his protocol. 365 days later, the Reverend has Parkinson's on the run. 365 days later, he is here in his rightful place and strong and looking good. And 365 days, we thank God for his continued service.
Somebody say 365 days later. We thank God for his legacy. We thank God for his renewed strength. And we have with us a young lady by the name of Madison Kelly. She's a third grader from Providence St. Mel School here in Chicago. And then after that, we're going to hear from our leader, our founder, and our president, Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson. Make this young girl feel encouraged, y'all.
Good morning, Rainbow Push. I will be reciting a poem called Alone by Maya Angelou. Lying, thinking, last night, how to find my soul a home, a place where water is not thirsty and bread loaf is not stone. I came up with one thing, and I don't believe I'm wrong, that nobody, no nobody can make it out here alone. Alone, all alone. That nobody, no nobody can make it out here alone. There are some millionaires with money they can't use. They're wandering around like Banshee, and their children sing the blues. They've got expensive doctors to kid their hearts of stone. 'Cause nobody, no nobody can make it out here alone. Alone, all alone. 'Cause nobody, no nobody can make it out here alone. Now if you listen closely, I'll tell you one thing I know. Storm clouds are gathering together and the wind is gonna blow. The race of man is suffering and I can hear the moan. 'Cause nobody, no nobody can make it out here alone. Thank you. By the way, I would like to thank everyone who exercised their right to vote, because the man I am about to introduce works very hard to empower and remind that your vote matters. Please give a round of applause for Reverend Jesse L. Jackson Sr.
Somebody, maybe down and pushed away, beginning of the day. I am somebody. Oh, I am somebody. Oh, I am somebody. Hey, I may be down but not destroyed, empty but not void, 'cause I am somebody. Look at your neighbor and say, I am somebody. Yeah, I am somebody. Oh, at the end of this day, speak the words and say, I am somebody. I need you to say, I am somebody. God made me somebody.
respect me, protect me, never neglect me. I am somebody. Red and yellow, brown, black, and white. We're all precious in God's sight. Everybody is somebody. Stop the violence, save the children. Stop the violence, save the children. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. I am somebody. Give it up for the choir, give it up for the choir, give it up for the choir. I want to express my thanks and delight to be with you again today. There was so much ground to cover. One is that we had a big election last week. One of the big winners was a new commissioner who was replaced Brother Jared Butler. We're going to have us a day honoring Jared, but Jared Butler means so much to us. He's such a soulful soul singer, such a decent guy. Such a great public servant. We're going to honor Jared. But in the meantime, Brother Lowry, please stand. New Commissioner of Cook County. You put your hand together. Mike Espy in Mississippi is running for U.S. Senator. It's now in the runoff stage. If we vote our hopes and not our fears, and not our foolishness, but our fearlessness, Mike can win that runoff campaign. He should be so strong that Mississippi will never be the same again. You may want, he said, I said, well, he said, I need volunteers. There are more blacks in Chicago from Mississippi than who live in Mississippi. Go back home and do some volunteer work. Your friends at Tougaloo College and Jackson State and Mississippi Valley, relatives and pastors, do not have any doubt in your mind about the ability of Mike to make an impact in Mississippi. You may also send donations at Espy, Mike Espy, say Espy, for Senator.com. Espy, for Senator.com. It's not that long that we were having rallies in Chicago talking about the painful tragedy of Emmett Till being lynched. And the lyncher walked away because the jury decided there was nobody guilty. And yet the lynch master, in effect, said, I did it. He felt honored to have killed him. And one of the writers asked a juror, why didn't it take a long time to determine who killed him? He said, well, we could have been less than 30 minutes. He said, we stopped to get a soft drink. And I cannot imagine sending a white man in jail for killing an N. We had no blacks on jury because nobody had the right to vote. But here we are today arguing about who should be senator for Mississippi. Who should be senator? Mississippi is a long ways from arguing about who is guilty of lynching somebody. So we think, give Mike Espy a big on your feet round, a big hand on your feet. The first black congressman in the last century was Mike Espy, candidate for governor today. A big hand for Mike Espy. Sometimes you just have to stop and assess the progress we've made. Sometimes we get so trapped in the forest we can't see the trees. But for us to be debating whether we won Florida or not, whether we won Texas or not, or Georgia or not, even that's progress, because while the top three did not win, their coattails brought in many of it. We won 2 more congressmen from Texas, 1 state legislators and commissioners. We won more congressmen from Florida and from Georgia, more sheriffs, more commissioners, more mayors. Stacey Abrams and Andrew Gillum and Aurora say they were winners. The fact, they registered millions of new voters. They changed their minds. So Mississippi and Georgia and Florida and Texas will never be the same again because we changed our minds. also want to say to you today, Dr. Robinson, those of you who are here today, that let's change our minds about education. I think the part about primary education is a cultural issue. You can have the best of schools. If your mind is not made up, you still won't make it. The best of books, two-parent household, got good jobs. If we think it's hip to be ignorant, then you'd be what you think is hip to be. So developing our minds must be the hip thing. In other words, if the white people got the inside track and study harder and play less and become technically efficient, you can't catch it. See, if I'm behind, I got to run faster. If I'm behind, I must run faster. I must get up earlier, study harder, work longer, play less, because I am behind. Now, those are real principles. Also, this coming Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, we're giving away 500 hot plates of food from Gibson's. We have the alliance with them. And those who want to volunteer, you ought to bring your child by. So get used to giving something, not begging for something. So your children should get used to giving something, not begging for something. I don't know when Santa Claus' birthday is, but Jesus' birthday coming up pretty soon. And part of the reason Jesus came was to get us out of debt. If you plan to get in debt, that's not Jesus Christ. That's Santa Claus is a slick old white man from Europe. Say slick. Oh, and drink eggnog and everybody says, you know, by the time you get to the fifth house, you know you're dead drunk. You see him once a year, and you paying this year for what he gave you last year. Let me say, you my friends, give love. John and I, we were at Leaks last night, 21 bodies, most of them under 40 years old. To have your child home on Christmas, that's the present. We went to Cook County Jail on Christmas, so we're trying to get more and more out of jail, in college, and away from graveyards. There's something unnatural about parents having to bury their children. We want to make this Christmas, see, Christmas should be a time, worship more and spend less. Worship more and spend less. This is about a baby born in the ghetto. Argument about who his daddy was. The Romans said his dad's name was Pandarus. His mom was raped. Joseph had been gone 3 months, came back, she was 2 months pregnant. He didn't know what was happening. Hadn't happened before. So that was a lot of confusion in their household. Had to take him to Egypt as a refugee, an immigrant. He rose up to be king. He said, be careful how you treat border babies. Be careful how you treat immigrants. Jesus was an immigrant, gained asylum, became a refugee. That's part of it. Now that's too serious to just figure out how to make Herod richer. So Christmas should not be a holiday for Herod in Rome. Should be a holiday for the oppressed. I wish I had my mother for this Christmas. I was calling my mother's number last week. Mama's number is 864-271-6115. I called her every now and then. She doesn't answer anymore. You know what I want for Christmas? I want my mama. Something that matters to me. See, if I have my mother or my father or my brothers or my sisters or my children for this holiday, what a grand reunion that would be. Let's make sense on this day. My last point is that those of you who want to really be engaged this year, we have a mayoral race coming up in Chicago. What are the dates for the closing of the petitions? There are a lot of people want to run. If you miss a certain date, you'll be waiting to 2023 because you won't run this time around. I'll get those notes to you in a few minutes. This is time. Betty? The dates for the the cutoff for the December, November 19th to November 26th. So November 19th, November 26th. If you expect to run, file your petitions between November 19th and November 26th. I want now Brother Todd Yeary, who is an outstanding preacher, pastor from Baltimore, Maryland, an outstanding military serviceman, authentic preacher of the gospel. We've asked him to be our vice president. He's going to take us to another level of development. I appreciate him so much. He's a thinker, a profound preacher. I want to give him my love and my support as we take the Rainbow Push. It's going forward by hope. We're not going backwards by fear. We're not going to stand. A big hand for Reverend Todd Yeary. We have a song coming. Well, Tucker, come on and sing then, man. Don't confuse me.
Praise the Lord, everybody. It's such an honor to be here. I thank God in a special way for Reverend Jesse Jackson. Well, Chris, could you switch his mic? Check. There it is. There it is. Praise the Lord, everybody. So grateful to be here. Can we give Reverend Jesse Jackson a hand? Such an honor and a privilege to be here. And any time, one of the things I've discovered that we all come to a place in our life where we have to be able to trust God in any circumstance, in any situation. A lot of times the most difficult thing is that we can't see what we're believing God for. But how many of you say, regardless to what you can see, you still know and trust that God's going to work that situation for your good and for his glory? I'm ready. Never. Hallelujah. Can we bring that track up a lot? Bring it up some more. Even though I can't see you. And I can't feel your touch. God, I trust you. I will trust you, Lord. How I love you so much. How I love you so much. Though my nights seem long. My nights may seem long. Sometimes I feel so alone. I feel so alone. But God, my trust is in you. Today I surrender. I surrender to you. So many painful thoughts. Travel through my mind. And y'all, sometimes I wonder, I say, God, how in the world I will make it? But today I say, it's not easy for me. Sometimes the pain in my life makes you seem so far away. But I trust you. I just need to know that God, you're here. Come on, XW, through the tears. Through the heartache and rain. Has anybody ever had to cry late in the midnight hour? Come on, nobody knew what you was really dealing with. When God was right there with you through every tear. Through the heartache and rain. Listen, somebody watching, somebody sitting here is going through a storm, and the enemy's been lying to us, and there's no way that we can ever come out of this situation. But as Reverend Jackson just told us, we already coming out. We will never be the same. And if you trust in God and believing that we're not going back, but we're moving forward, and God's going to do something greater. God's going to do something better. If that's you, can you just wave your hands this morning and somebody say, God, I will. Oh, that's right. I trust you. It's not easy, but I trust you. It gets hard sometimes, but God, I'll trust you. Say, come on, say, I will. I had my heart broken. I made mistakes, but I trust you. It seems like you're not here, but God, I will. I'll trust you. Now somebody lift your hands and tell them, oh God, it gets hard sometimes. I don't understand it, God, but somebody say, God, I will. My back's against the wall. I've been crying enemies are depending on us. Somebody say, God, I will. This is why, because God will make a way out of no way. God will make a way. If you believe it, somebody wave your hand. Say, he's going to make a way. He's going to turn it around. He's going to fix it. Say, God will. I know he will. He did it for me. Now somebody give God the best praise that you can in this place. Come on, say, God, we are trusting you. Say, God, we are believing you. Say, God, we are depending on you to work it out, to make a way out of no way. Come on, worshipers. Everybody give God a hand clap of praise. Like the way is already done. God bless you. I love you so much.
Come on and appreciate Brother James Fortune and for, come on, y'all can do better than that. Y'all better act like you've been in the presence of God and you understand that God has been good to you. We are grateful for his presence and his gift and for his sharing and for reminding us that even when the news you get is not the news that you want, doesn't mean that we all give up hope. For the last several days, we've been watching with bated breath, with high expectations, the returns coming in. Not because we were looking for a particular party to win. We were simply looking for those who would be the voice for the voiceless. Looking for those to raise the issues for those who have no advocate. We just wanted to know, was there someone out there somewhere that didn't mind raising the issue of poverty for poor people? Can't get no help here. Just wanted somebody to know that they would raise the issue of health care policy for sick people. That they would raise the issue of quality education for everybody, not just those who might get a voucher, but for the vast majority of the rest of us who would go to public schools. And we want every public school to be high quality, producing great thinkers, critical thinkers that will change the world for the better. For the last several days, we held our breath while we were trying not to believe what our eyes were telling us. That there are still intentional efforts to steal the vote. The politics of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. Steal the election by whatever means we can find. It's still alive and well. But the question becomes, now that we've been reminded that this fight is still ongoing, what do we do now? It's going to be some time before there's another election, but what do we do when we're in that uncomfortable place between where we were and where we're going? That place is called the meantime. Can I talk to somebody here that the meantime can be a mean time? The meanness of a government that is now trying to lash out at anybody that would dare hold it accountable to the principles of truth, justice, and, oh, by the way, the American way. The meantime, when they put pawns and puppets in places to control the outcomes of rightful investigations on one hand, and then fail to investigate the issues of police brutality and overt hostility on the other. What do we do when we find ourselves in the meantime? I'm glad you asked. Because what we cannot do is turn back now. We've come too far, we've worked too hard, we've seen too much, we've seen God's hand at work on our behalf, and we dare not under any circumstances retreat. Tell your neighbor there's still more fight to be done. Tell your other neighbor there's some fight left in you. And we've got to recognize that the fight last week was at the ballot box. But the fight this week is going to be in the boardroom, in the courtroom, on Capitol Hill, in state houses, in front of legislators that said, you asked for my vote, now that you got it, what you gonna do for the least, the last, the lost, and the left behind? Because this fight is still ongoing. I would raise this for you. I want you to be encouraged. Don't be dejected because of what we've seen in Florida and in Georgia and in voting purging efforts all across the country. Don't get discouraged when you hear a sitting U.S. senator make pejorative comments that are out of touch with history and who we are as a nation, and then in the next conversation would suggest that we ought to suppress the voter activity of the generation that will become the largest voting bloc in our country by 2022. Can I talk to the young people in the room, you who will lead us forward? I need to talk to the millennials and the Gen Xers and the Gen Nexters, that you are going to inherit the baton, but you cannot run this race if you don't have some hope and fire in your belly. Nehemiah stayed on the wall because he knew that he had to rebuild hope and possibility. And when there was a sign of progress, Sanballat and Tobiah came and tried to talk him down off the wall. Tell your neighbor, I'm not coming down. I'm not going to lower my expectations. I'm not going to lower my standards simply to accommodate low expectations about the political promise of our country. We're going to stay on the wall. Why? Because we've rebuilt the wall to half its height, but nobody celebrates for half a wall. We're going to build a whole wall. We're going to build a wall that protects the interests of poor people, that's going to protect the interests of those who want a brighter tomorrow than they see today. We're going to protect the interests of neighborhoods and cities that have been traumatized by police and political indifference, because we're not coming down from the progress that we've made. Can I talk to somebody? I just need to take a poll. How many folks still believe that our best is still yet to come? That we're not going to give up, and we're not going to give in, and we're not going to turn around. We've come too far. My feet may be tired, but my mind is clear and my heart is open. Tell your neighbor, keep hope alive, because we've got more building to do. Keep the fire burning, and I'll see you when we get to the promised land.
People, keep on gunning, yeah. Soldiers, keep on. It won't be too long. Yeah. Powers keep on lying to me in my face. My people, y'all, they don't stop dying. No. Whoa, keep on turning. It won't be too long. Try it again. Last time on earth, I lived the whole world to send y'all. So big that I know more than I knew then. Keep on trying till I reach my higher ground. Higher ground. Sing with me. Higher ground. Higher ground. I got
wheels of a few people whose minds are made up. Rosa Parks sat down on the bus in 1955. That was not a committee meeting. Be seated. The children of Little Rock went to school in 1957. I was 9, not 90. Hear me, somebody. The students sat in Greensboro in February of 1960. That was 4. Not 4. And said, whenever a handful of people make up their minds, put their light in darkness, darkness always loses. Therefore, let your light shine. No matter how dark, the dark, light will always be darkness. We have several things I want to run past you quickly, really. One of them is that there is a mayoral race coming up in Chicago, November 21 to 26. Now people are running, but came a one win, by the way. So a lot of people are running, became a one win. We will talk about that in days to come. In the meantime, there's still a couple 100,000 more people who must register to vote. Secondly, I want a couple of commission for volunteers. I want to Betty Magnus. Betty Magnus. Those of you who would make a commitment to join our telephone bank, we're going to meet every Thursday night around 6 o'clock, either on the phone or face-to-face, and call members and call friends that we're going to organize a telephone bank and use that to get informed what the meeting's about, why they should be involved. We should have at least 5,000 members in every congressional district, in every ward district. That's enough to win all these campaigns without getting corrupted. Bishop, won't you help us with that? If you want to help and be a part of our telephone bank stand, it's your weekly volunteer work. You want to be on the telephone bank stand. The telephone bank. Somebody get better for me. Jeanette, tell somebody to get better. Come forward, please. We want somebody who will join our telephone bank. Telephone bank, come forward. Thank you very much. Also a sustained membership drive. We intend to put on 10,000. December, we were born December 1966. This will be a season of building out our alliances. We know that we convicted and condemned Van Dyke last year. That's just the beginning. We're not going to allow people to kill us without consequences. We're going to stop the killing. Can I get a witness on that?
We help on FedEx. We greeted by Mayor Cruz when we arrived.
For the registration, we need volunteers to give us some time. You want to be a part of our membership.
There's unfinished business in Puerto Rico today. The reconstruction has not been reconstructed. We're holding back monies designed for Puerto Rico. Like $56 million allocated has not been appropriated.
Like Reverend Jackson mentioned, the appropriation of $56 million, it hasn't gotten to Puerto Rico. And there continues to be this push and pull about whether the monies should be used to pay the hedge funds or whether they should be used to pay for the relief efforts. And of course they should be used to pay for the relief efforts and not to pay for the hedge funds. But the Fiscal Control Board continues to impose severe austerity measures in Puerto Rico. Our pensions are under siege. So you work 30 years and now you may not even get a pension, or you may get a pension of $400 or $300 a month, which will not be able to allow you to even buy medication. We still don't have Medicare and Medicaid parity. We pay the same amount of money as if we lived in Chicago, but we don't get the same amount of benefits. So it's an issue of fairness. It's an issue of fighting an injustice. We also have about 15,000 of our students in the university system that are on deferred enrollment. So they haven't been able to pay their tuition. Why? Because the Fiscal Control Board has tripled the cost of a credit at the University of Puerto Rico. So what that means is that people will become more dependent, and as they become more dependent, they'll depend, of course, more in the government. And of course, Lord knows that that's just not the way to do things. One of the things that is also very important is the issue of energy. Environmental injustice has been happening in Puerto Rico. Our Puerto Rico Electrical Power Authority has been sold, so it will become an entity for a private sector a monopoly. And of course, he or she who decides where the energy goes to will decide where the services go to, will decide where the economic development will go to.
We found at that time several thousand. We were told it was like several hundred. What the latest count on deaths?
The latest count was, there's a study by George Washington University that states it's approximately 2,975. And then there was a study by Harvard University that mentioned it was approximately 3,433. So more than 3,000 people died, not of the hurricane itself, but of the botched effort of an administration that decided to look the other way rather than doing their job, that decided to blame the Puerto Rican people rather than understanding that it was action and not distraction that we needed at the time. Much of what is happening now in California. In California, the fire is being blamed on the people that have lost their lives because of the fire, and this has to stop. What is happening in Puerto Rico is really a microcosm of what is happening all over the United States. Our fights are the same fights than your fights, and the immigration issues hit us as hard as they hit our children in the border. And I say our children because I'm a mother, and all you have to do is have a heartbeat to understand that children should not be separated from their mothers or from their father. And one last thing to the young people here. This is your time. It's not tomorrow, it's today.
That's right.
So use your voice, be unapologetic, uncompromising, and bold. It is okay to be politically incorrect as long as you're doing it for the cause of justice, for the cause of freedom, for the cause of equality. Yeah.
7 years of bad love, the good things in the past, all gone. You believe in things that you don't understand, then you just may suffer. Oh, superstition ain't the way. Yeah. On your feet. No, 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 no. There's superstition. Yeah. Wash your face. Rid me of my problems. Do all that you can. Keep me in a daydream. Keep me going strong. Oh, you don't have to save me. No, no, no. Sad as a song. Oh, but you believe in things that you don't understand. It just may suffer. Oh, superstition ain't the way. Superstition ain't the way. Superstition ain't the way.
Hands together. Come on, Mayan. Thank you, Ram.
Superstition ain't the way. Superstition ain't the way. Superstition ain't the way. Superstition ain't the way. Oh, it's when you believe in things you don't understand, then you suffer. Superstition ain't the way. Oh, one more time.
Let us bow our heads in prayer. I'm traumatized. Last night, since some of our children shot by other children. So much violence, such a mean spirit, such a death wish. People need police, police need people. Everybody that matters to us. To the bereaving families today, those whose hearts are broken, we pray for them today. Those whose lives have been taken from them, snatched in the formative years of their lives, we pray for them today. Bless organizations, we seek to do good and do what is right for all of our people. Lord, have mercy on us. Search our hearts, you know our ways. Only pure in heart shall see you. And purify our hearts. There's any hatred in our hearts. Or jealousy. Move it right now and make us better. Give us pure hearts. Clear minds and the will to work. Together we can say amen. Amen.
I'm praying for the world, oh Lord, yeah. Hey, sing it over, hey. Praying for my children and for the world, sing, oh Lord, amen. Listen, y'all, this little light of mine, I've got to let it shine. I've got to let it shine. Oh, hey, hey. Sing it, children, now.